Alright, so let me begin this video by saying that aside from a few exceptions, I've mostly used Android phones as my daily drivers, but with the launch of the iPhone 15 Pro, I was really tempted to go and try out Apple's newest flagship offering. And with that said, let's get started. Now in terms of hardware, the iPhone 15 Pro does come with some new upgrades, such as the addition of USB-C, a new titanium frame, and of course the new action button. Maybe you're coming from Android and you're wondering if you're going to want to switch to the iPhone 15 Pro. Now I have spent some time with the phone and I just want to give you guys some of my early thoughts on this device. And I will be dropping some links below if you want to check out the 15 Pro or if you want to watch our other iPhone videos here on Team VRY. With that said, let's get to the video. Now talking about that design, I do like the design on the 15 Pro. It does come with the signature iPhone design, which hasn't really changed much in the past few years. There are some variations, but it mostly maintains the same look as its predecessors. Although of course there are some subtle changes this time around, such as the slightly curved edges. And of course you do get that new titanium frame, which makes it lightweight, especially compared to last year's iPhones. Now I do love the matte look. I'm not really a fan of the glossy stainless steel that we got on previous iPhone Pro models. And yeah, as far as design goes, the 15 Pro plays it safe, and the all matte look is definitely something to look forward to if you're getting tired of the same old stainless steel combination on previous iPhones. Now of course, this design wraps around the 6.1-inch display, which does come with ProMotion, meaning that you get 120Hz refresh rate on the screen of the iPhone 15 Pro. Now it does look terrific, there's not much to complain about here, and unless you want the larger screen size on the Pro Max, I think the 15 Pro manages to strike the right balance, especially with the 6.1-inch display size, and yeah, I'm really liking it so far. Now this display is of course your gateway into the rest of the phone, which is powered by the new A17 Pro Bionic chip from Apple. And again, as with the display, there's not much to complain about with the A17 Pro. It will be capable of handling heavy usage with apps, gaming. And with that said, I'm really looking forward to what Apple can offer with the upcoming Resident Evil ports. I've played them before on my PC and on my MacBook, but to see them finally on a mobile device natively without any streaming involved is something to look forward to. And yeah, so far I've had a great experience with the A17 Pro chip, so if you're coming from a non-Pro iPhone, that's going to be a pretty significant upgrade, especially if it's an older model. Now, of course, another advantage of getting the 15 Pro and basically any iPhone in general is that it'll work great if you're planning to build an Apple ecosystem. And yeah, it's going to fit right into your setup. If you're already an Apple user, then there's little to no question about getting the 15 Pro. And of course, we do have the cameras on the 15 Pro, which mostly retain the same hardware from last year. Of course, if you want to get the 5x telephoto capabilities, you will have to get the more expensive Pro Max. But with the 15 Pro, so far it's been solid, especially coming from someone who uses a Pixel for smartphone photography. The difference between the two phones is going to be a really subjective affair. They're both capable of producing great looking shots, and it's going to be a user to user basis in terms of their preferences when it comes to smartphone photography. With that said though, the 15 Pro does come with some additional camera features in the software, but one thing where it has advantage over the Pixel's camera software is that it does come with some customizability, such as the photographic styles, as well as in-depth controls. But like I said, I've only had it for a few days. These are my first impressions, and I'm going to update you guys with more photography stuff with the 15 Pro as time goes by. Of course, there's also the new action button, which I really like. It has replaced the mute switch and it offers a bit more functionality now. And yeah, you can basically assign it to a ton of different tasks. And it's a great addition from Apple, of course, and there's little to complain about here. Battery has been alright so far. It does triumph over my Pixel 7 and the 7a, which have had some battery issues, and with the 15 Pro I am able to get a bit more screen time. But of course, as with the camera performance, I will update you guys with the long-term battery usage that I've had with the 15 Pro. Now with all this said, I do have some concerns about the iPhone 15 Pro. As with any other smartphone, it's of course not perfect, and there are factors to consider, especially if you want to be really specific about the pros and cons of the smartphone. Surprisingly, I've had some heating issues with the 15 Pro. Now, as with any new smartphone, there's going to be a bit of heat buildup, especially if you're setting up the phone, but I didn't expect the 15 Pro to be pretty hot. It got uncomfortably hot, especially when I was setting up my apps and while it was downloading iOS 17. Now, while it does come with USB-C, the iPhone 15 Pro still has a bit of catching up to do in terms of fast charging support. Now, it does charge pretty fast in comparison to previous iPhone models, but compared to what we've seen on rivals from Android manufacturers, the iPhone 15 Pro still needs some improvements. USB-C is a terrific upgrade, but yeah, faster charging support would have been a nice addition. And last but not the least, I do have some concerns about build quality on the iPhone 15 Pro. Now, ever since it came out, we've seen some reports about the scratching involved and some of the paint fading on the titanium frame. And of course, we saw that durability test on YouTube, which does raise some questions about the overall build quality on the 15 Pro. Now, of course, I would recommend getting a case for your phone just for that peace of mind. After all, at the end of the day, it's still a smartphone, and smartphones such as this one are pretty susceptible to accidental damage. Alright, so to sum things up, if you're coming from an Android flagship like the S23 series from Samsung, then features like USB-C, the 120Hz refresh rate, and the dynamic island are not probably enough to win you over. We had variations of that same hardware much earlier on in other Android phones, and for a lot of users, they might not be enough to convince them to switch to the 15 Pro. However, of course, you do get that sweet new A17 Pro Bionic chip, and so far, the battery life has been pretty good. I'm hoping that it'll be consistent with my usage in the long run. And of course, if you're an Apple fan, there's no doubt that you love the iPhone 15 Pro, especially if you're upgrading from a much older model. But yeah, overall, I've had a good time with it so far. I'll be sure to give out more updates with my usage of the 15 Pro in future videos. Now, if you guys want to check out our other Apple content, I will drop some links below. Don't forget to let me know your comments about the iPhone 15 Pro down below. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.